All right, we are at the top of the hour, so let's begin. I just want to welcome you all. Thank you for joining us here for another ACT training webinar series. Again, this is something we're trying to do every month for ACT subscribers, just to give you a little bit more education, familiarity, and comfort with the product so that you can have the most possible success with it. Today, we're going to talk about ACT marketing automation. And specifically, we're going to talk about the lowest tier, the tier that comes included with ACT. On our agenda today, we're going to tell you a little bit about myself, then we're going to jump straight into a live demonstration of ACT marketing automation, including how to set up your account. If you've never even logged into it before, I'm going to show you some steps on some things that you should do just to get up and running. Really easy things to do. Then we're going to create an email template. I'll show you some of the tools and some of the things that you can do in creating an email template. After that, we'll build our own marketing campaign and we'll activate it to show you how a campaign works, show you the steps in the workflow on how you can let ACT marketing automation market to your audience for you. And then we'll look at an old campaign that I had running a couple weeks ago, and we'll see some results on what that might look like, some of the things that you can view after the fact. At the end, we'll do some Q&A. As a matter of fact, we're going to be doing Q&A throughout the entire event today. So in Zoom, use the Q&A panel if you'd like to have your question answered. If it applies to ACT marketing automation, we'll answer it. If it doesn't have anything to do with it, you probably won't get an answer. So stay on topic if you would, please. And then at the end, we're going to do a survey, just so you can tell us what you think about this session and maybe even vote on some ideas or give us some ideas on future sessions, things that you'd like to see more training about in ACT. So my name is Brent Milner. I'm an Arizona native. I'm living in the only part of Arizona that isn't a desert. I'm up in Flagstaff, about an hour away from the Grand Canyon. I've been with ACT for over 16 years, just in the training department. I create the videos that you see and the learning curriculum that you see. I educate employees, I educate our partners, and even ACT customers like you. In my spare time, I just wander around the desert, or not the desert, but the woods up here with my dogs and my wife and my guitar. So let's start by talking about how to set up your account in ACT marketing automation. If you're on the base tier of ACT, you have an ACT marketing automation is included as part of your basic plan. And some of you don't even know that. Some of you don't even know what it's there for. Maybe you've seen it and you've just been too scared to click on it, or you have clicked on it and you've gotten easily and quickly overwhelmed or intimidated by it. So I want to help overcome all of that today. And so we'll start by just doing some simple things to set up your account, including entering your account details, importing any suppression lists. So if you've been using ACT marketing, or if you've been using any kind of marketing automation program before and you have a list of bounced emails or people who have requested an unsubscribe, I'm going to show you how you can import that email list into ACT marketing automation so that those customers won't receive emails. Then I'll show you some company information areas and how to organize your campaigns and your templates by folders. So let's jump into my virtual machine here. And what I've done is I've clicked marketing automation, the lower left corner of ACT. I'm using, by the way, ACT on my desktop, ACT Premium for desktop. Although if you're on the cloud version, you'll also have this same button, marketing automation, on your screen. And the screens that we'll see here are going to be pretty much identical between both of those deployment types. So let's set up our account. How do we set up ACT marketing automation for the first time? Well, the first thing I want to do is locate this My Account button towards the top of the screen. Now, when you click on that, you're going to see your profile, and most of these fields might be blank. What you should do here is enter some basic information on who you are. Enter your email address, your name, your country, your time zone. That's pretty important because if you set any of your campaigns to go out at a specific time, you want that time to be relative to you so you know exactly when those are going out. And also, if you have a preferred language, you should select that here. That's pretty easy to do. Once you've entered all those fields, just go to the action menu on the right and click Save, and then ACT Marketing Automation will save that profile information. That's a great first step to do. Then what I recommend doing is to just go to your file menu and exit, or just log out of Act if you're on the cloud. The reason I recommend doing that is because I want Act Marketing Automation to grab that information and refresh the system so that it uses your email address where appropriate and propagates all that information into the right spot. So I'm going to log back into Act now just to make sure all of that information is there and that we're ready to go. And that's really the only time you have to do that step, is after you enter your My Account information. Okay, so I'm back in Act again now. What I'm going to do is go into Act Marketing Automation once again. And so now that we have the My Account area set up, the next thing I want to do is go to this admin area on the top right. Now we'll see in the admin area, there's a drop-down menu at the top. There's lots of different things that we can do in the admin area, but I only want you to focus on 3 or 4 of them. First of all, I mentioned suppression lists earlier. Let's look at that. If you go to suppression list email, select that and click go, it's going to take you to this screen where we had already started on. This is where you can manage your email suppression lists. What you need to do here is import a CSV file, a comma separated value file into Act Marketing Automation so that Act knows which email addresses it should ignore when it sends out emails. So I did this before. I had one email address in that file, and I'm going to show you a different file that I have here. So what I did is in Excel, I created an Excel spreadsheet. And the cool thing about this is you don't have to worry about any columns or anything. Just put the email addresses on each row in the A column, one after the other. Save it as a CSV type, and that's all you need to do. Now, when I go to my email suppression list, I can go to my actions menu on the right and now import this list. Act asks you to find it. So we're going to click select, and I'm going to look at the suppression list that I just created, and I'll click open. And then if you want to enter a source here, I'm just going to say Excel suppression. You can put anything you want in there. And if you want to have a reason, this will apply that reason to every email in the list. So if I choose subscribe, when those emails appear on my list, they're all going to have a reason of unsubscribed as to why they should be suppressed. So you can only choose one of these. If you want to have different reasons for all of your email addresses, then you'll need one list for each reason. But I'm going to choose unsubscribe here, and I'll click upload. And now it gives me a notification that says we've received your request to upload the suppression list. I'll get an email once this has been complete. Okay, so that's finished. I can close that window, and then after that list gets updated, you'll see that your emails appear on this screen in a series of rows. So great, now we have imported our suppression list. That's a great thing to do first, because if I send out any emails from now on, I know and I can feel confident that any of the people who have unsubscribed will not get emails from me. Also, going forward, from this point on, anybody who unsubscribes to any emails you send from now on will automatically be added to this list as well. So you can always come to this screen to see who's on your unsubscribe list, or for whatever reason, if you have a customer that says, hey, I'm not getting your emails, you can come here and search for their email address. And if they should be receiving your emails, you can click this X to change their status. And this is all in the admin area under Manage Email Suppression List. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you is how to set up your account configuration. So while we're still in the admin area, from the dropdown, I'm going to look up Account Configuration, and then I'll click Go. Now this is where you can enter your customer name and your address, customer being you, your address information. So when we send out emails, one of the required fields that has to be included on every email is the company address. And so if you input your company address here, this is the information that will be appearing at the bottom or wherever you put it on every email that you send. So it's important that you fill out these fields, otherwise you won't be able to send out any emails. But that's easy to do. Once you fill out the fields, go to Actions and click Save again. And now Act Marketing Automation will remember your your account configuration, including your company address. Speaking of addresses, let's say that your company has more than one address. We can look that up here. If I go to account addresses, by default, there won't be any address in here. So what you can do is create an address. So I'm going to add one here, and I'll just call my company name ACT for now. And then we'll just put in the address here, 8800 North Gainey Drive. And all of your address fields appear in this one block. So there's not an extra field for city, state, or postcode or any of that. You just put it all in this one address block. So Scottsdale, AC 5258. And then you can choose if this is going to be your primary address or not. Now, when I click save, it saves that as my address. If I wanted to add additional addresses, maybe for our Denver office or our Newcastle office, you can add multiple addresses here that'll be associated with your company that you can use later on. And the last thing I want to show you for setting up is in your account folders. So when you create campaigns and email templates, you can also organize those into specific folders so that you're just organized, and those campaigns and email templates don't get lost in the shuffle. So what I'm going to do is go to my account folders area and click go. And by default, everybody's going to have just a root folder called campaigns. If I switch over to my templates area, we'll see a root folder called templates. And so in my campaigns area, maybe I'm going to create today a campaign for a monthly newsletter. I want to create a folder where I can organize all of my campaigns that have to do with newsletters, for example. So I'm going to begin, I'm going to just right click here and click new folder. And you can see that it creates a new folder as a subfolder of campaigns. Now, when I double click this new folder, I can rename it newsletters. Okay, I could do this again and create a folder for maybe product releases. Now I'm getting organized, and you can create subfolders of these as well if you want. I can do the same thing inside templates if I want to. Create a new folder, and I'll call it newsletters again, so that when I create my monthly newsletters, I can organize them all inside this folders in my templates area. So I think that's a great way to start. Set up your folder structure before you do anything else. And you can always come back here later on and change it and reorganize your directory if you want to. But I think it's a great way to start, because if you're going to start creating lots of templates and campaigns, it's a good idea to keep them all organized. So those are 4 quick things that you can do to get yourself ready to go in ACT Marketing Automation. All right, now the next thing I want to do is talk about creating an email template. So when we create email templates, these are the things that are going to be sent out to your customers. And you have an easy tool to use to create beautiful looking templates that your customers will respond to. You can start with a blank template, or you can use pre-built templates in our template library. If you're not particularly skilled at creating marketing emails, we have a lot of templates that you can use just to help you get started. And then you can make minor changes to those, including your branding, your colors, so that they'll look really sharp and you're not spending a lot of time struggling to create something. Inside the email templates, you have full control over the colors that you see, the imagery that you see, even the row structure, which we'll look at, and tons of different content items that you can add to your templates. So let's create one real quick. Back in ACT Marketing Automation, I'm going to start by clicking on Email Templates. And we'll see that here's a template that I've created in the past. This was the one from the screenshot. If I click on that, it's going to take me into my template design, where I can scroll down and see what this template includes. Now, there are some rules when you're sending out emails, and I'll talk about this a little bit later, but every email that you send out must have an unsubscribe link, or you won't be able to send an email out. And every email must have your company address. And I'll talk about that a little bit later once we get to activating one of our campaigns. But the way this email template structure is set up, over on the right, we have a toolbar. And in this toolbar, there are 3 tabs at the top. Now, I recommend starting on the right with the Settings tab. This lets you choose the content area width, of your template. You can see if I drag it, it makes it wider on the screen. It also lets you set your content area alignment to either center or left. Usually center looks the best, but you can choose what you want here. Your background color is going to be everything outside your content area. So just for an example, if I change this content area background color to black, you'll see that everything out here is black. And if I change the content area background color to that tan color or brown color, you'll see that that appears here in the middle. So this is great if you have a screen that's way too wide, you can still keep your branding colors in effect for users who are using it on a wide landscape mode. And you can also set the default font and link colors that will exist inside your templates. Okay, let's go back now and let's create our own template from the very beginning. I'm going to create a template for a monthly newsletter. My company wants to send out newsletters to let all my customers know what's going on in the company. So let's begin by just creating a template that we'll use for every newsletter going forward. I'm going to click Actions, or from my Actions menu, I'm going to choose New Template. And I have a ton of choices here. I could choose a blank template if I want. Let's see what that looks like. I'm going to click blank and choose Continue. This will give me a blank template that has nothing on it, where I would have to create everything from scratch. So I'm just going to call this test blank just so we can see what a blank template looks like here. I'll click Save. And now we're going to load up this template editor. You can see it's totally blank, but by default, Marketing Automation is real smart and nice. It adds your unsubscribe link for you and your company address field for you too. So you don't have to manually add those later. But here's where I would just begin building my template, including, maybe the row structure that I want to have or the contents that I want to add to it. All you have to do is grab, click it, and drag it to the spot where you want it on your layout. And there will be a little blue bubble that appears there that says drag it here. That's how you know where this thing is going to land. So I've dragged a row that has 2 content items and I placed it at the top. You can add up to 5 content or 6 content items per row. So if I drag this bottom one over and drop it, you'll see that now there are 6 content items that can be added to this row. And so now what we're doing in the row area is just adding the skeletal look of the email template. If I want to start adding content items to it, like text fields or images, I can go to my content tab. And by doing the same thing, I can click and drag, say, a paragraph content item. And now it'll give me this paragraph block where I can change the text. And just to show you how that looks, if there was a ton of text, it just scrolls off the edge. And you can see also when I click in the text, we get a formatting ribbon. So you can do things like boldface and underlines. You can change the font and the font size. You can change the colors, everything that you would normally expect that you could do in a text editing field. If I go and if I click my content tab again, now I can add different kinds of content items like an image. So the cool thing about the image content type is when I click the browse button here, there's 3 different ways to add images. You can upload them from your computer. You can import them from, let's say your Facebook account, or maybe you have Dropbox or Google Drive. All you need is the link to that image or connecting to your Dropbox, and then you can import it from there. Or the third way, which is really cool, is there are free photos. There's 500,000 stock photos that are in existence that you could search through and use these for free under the Creative Commons 0 license. So I would just search for maybe autumn and hit enter, and then it's going to give me a ton of different images that have sort of an autumn feel to them. All I have to do is click the import button for one of them, and now it's going to import it into my image library. Now, one of the other things I should mention about your image library is you can organize your images here as well. So I've created a folder called products, and I've created a folder called logos. You can create multiple folders here. And then when you import anything from either your computer or from the internet, you should be inside your folder before you import it, because that's where that photo is going to appear. Once you find the photo you want, though, just click the insert button next to it, and it will immediately put that photo inside your email template. Now, there are a lot of other cool things you can do here. If I click apply effects and more while I'm looking at this image, we can add all kinds of things here, like I can change the filters. I can make it really technicolory looking. I can change, I can add frames to it. I can add text to it. There's a ton of different things you can do with that. So I suggest just kind of playing with all those different effects to get what you want. You can also crop the photo within that editing area if you don't want it to be that size. So there's way too many features in there for me to cover. So just go look at all those and see what you can do in that area. A few of the other things that we can add here are social links. So let's say you have a very huge presence on social media. If I just drag that social links button onto my layout, by default, it's going to give me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We can change that though. Let's say I don't have an Instagram page. I can just click this content item, locate Instagram, and click delete, and it will remove Instagram. But let's say I do have maybe a big YouTube presence. If I choose add additional ones, I can choose this YouTube, and it'll add my YouTube link here. I can reorder these just by dragging them. And I can even change the way these appear. Maybe if I have this email kind of looking monochrome and I don't want all these colorful buttons here, I can go to this top area which says select icon collection and choose maybe this one. So you have a lot of control over how these buttons appear too. The last thing I want to show you here in this area, I think, is going to be the video link or video content item. If I drop this content item onto my layout, now I can add a video URL. Now this is going to only pull from either YouTube or Vimeo. So you need to have a link to a video that you've uploaded to YouTube or Vimeo, and it'll put a placeholder for that video here in your email. Now it's not going to play that video in the email itself, but your customers will click that video link and then it'll open either YouTube or Vimeo in a new tab in their browser. With any of the items that you add to your content layout, there's tons of different things that you can do to change the way they appear here. So you can increase the padding if you want. You can change, you can have this image hidden. If you want to hide it on the mobile view, you can choose that and it won't appear on the mobile view. It'll only appear on your desktop view. So there's a lot of other options that, again, there's way too many things for me to cover in this simple training course. But I wanted to kind of give you a first glance at the things you can do inside Ag Marketing Automation for your email templates. Don't forget to click save. There's an auto save feature that saves every so often, but I'm always paranoid about that, so I click save. Now, if you want to see how this how this email looks in, say, a phone layout, a responsive smartphone layout, these buttons on the left will let you switch between your desktop view and your mobile view. And you'll see how your content items now get lined up based on how they appear in your template. So it's a really good idea to have a look at both the desktop view and the phone view before you launch any of your campaigns, because you want to see how your customers are going to see it. Okay, let's go back now, and I'm going to show you a template from the library. So what we did just now is we created an email template from a blank type. But what if I am not good at creating these things and I need a little bit of help? Well, I'm going to scroll down and you can see there's tons of different types of email templates that you can use. I'm going to find the one called newsletter. And I'm going to click continue here. Okay, and I'm going to call this newsletter. And I'll click save. Now this will enter me into the template for the newsletter, the pre-made newsletter template for me. So you can see they've added a ton of stuff here for me. I can just now swap this out with the things that I want to add here. So for example, at the top, maybe this image is going to be for my, my company logo. I'll click that image and I'll click change image. This will take me into my image editor again. And now I'm going to go to my logos area. And I think I have a logo here. Let's do this white one here, I think. Okay, that's fine. So now my logo is there. Maybe I don't like the gray background. I can click this whole row so that it highlights the whole row. And on the right, where it says row background color, yeah, I'll change that to white. Then I can edit the text here. I can edit the images. I can add images for whatever I want to promote for each month. And then I'll save this. And once I've done that and I save it, now this template is ready to go into a campaign. So two different kinds of templates you can use: your blank template or your template that comes from a library pre-built, allowing you to do just kind of expedite that if you're not wanting to start from scratch. Okay, let's see. The next thing I want to talk about then is building and activating your campaign. So when you send out a campaign that includes emails and so forth, it's going to use your ACT groups. So whatever groups you have set up in ACT, it's going to ask you which group do you want to send this campaign to. While you're creating a campaign, you'll see that there is an interactive workflow that lets you add steps to your campaigns, timings or specific dates when you want items to happen. You can also edit the emails directly from within the campaign themselves, which we'll talk about. And then you can use additional actions, such as sending yourself a notification or adding your audience to a different campaign. Once you get to the point where you're going to activate your campaign, Act Marketing Automation does a check for you to make sure there are no errors, which we will also do, just so you can see what those errors look like. Okay, so let's go into Act Marketing Automation here, and now let's have a look at our campaigns. Now, I've created a campaign ahead of time, which we will look at the results of that in just a minute, but I just want to show you, I created a very, very simple campaign. It has a start. It's telling me in the timing that this will instantly be sent out once I activate this campaign. And I have an email step and then an end step. So really nothing too complex here. This is a very basic campaign. And here's our workflow layout. So this is kind of cool. If you like to reorient this to vertical, there's a button up here that lets you change that layout from top to bottom or from left to right, just depending on how you like it to appear on your screen. At the same time, you can hold down your control button and click and move this thing around so that it appears wherever you want it to see it on the screen. If you use your mouse wheel, you can zoom in and zoom out just to see more or less of the stuff that appears here. So what I want to do now is let's create a new campaign for our monthly newsletter. So I'm going to return back to my main campaign screen. And then on the right, on the actions menu, we're going to choose new campaign. Okay, so this will be for our monthly newsletter. And you can see there are different campaign types here. But on the base version of Act Marketing Automation, these templates are not available. So this would be available on a higher tier. If you upgrade, then you'll have access to some of these pre-built templates. But I'm going to show you anyway how to build a template from a blank campaign. It's really easy to do. I'll select the blank campaign and click continue. And then I need to give this campaign a name. So I'm just going to call it monthly newsletters. And I'll just put this year on it because I might have a different campaign that I use for next year. Now down at the bottom where it says folder selection, here's where I can add this campaign to the folder I created earlier. This helps me to stay organized. So I'm going to put it there. And then I'll click continue. Now on step 2, in the groups area, this is where I need to choose who my audience will be for this campaign. Now, when I click this drop down, it's going to look at the groups that I have in my ACT database, and that's where I could choose which group this should go to. It brings my account information here, adds my name and my email address. Now, since I'm using the default Act Marketing Automation Setup, it's using this actsend.com domain. If you'd like to use your own domain, you can give us a call and we'll help you set that up for you. But by default, it's going to use this actsend.com domain. So I don't really have to change anything here. The reply to address, it's a good idea to make this address something that somebody monitors, because if one of your customers replies to that address, replies to that email, they probably expect it to get read. So make this something that somebody will look at. I'm going to click create now. Oop, I didn't like my group ID for some reason. Let's just choose customers here. Oh, it's not liking my invalid act group ID. I don't know what that means. Let me check my groups just to make sure everything is still good. Let's see here. I do have these groups set up. Let's try this again. And we'll create a new campaign. And I'll just click continue. And hopefully this doesn't throw me that error again. If it does, then I'll just use the previous campaign that I created. Okay, it liked it that time. All right. So when I create this monthly newsletter, it's going to just start me off with 3 stages: my start stage, my email stage, and my end stage. So the first thing I want to do is add my new newsletter email to this send email stage. So I'm going to click that stage and choose edit email content, and click go. And it's going to open up the email templates area, and it's just going to give me a real basic email template. But I don't want to redesign that newsletter template. I want to use the one that I designed earlier. So I'm going to go into my actions menu and I'm going to import my templates. And I'll choose this newsletter template that I created. Now, when I import that, we'll see this newsletter template. I haven't done a whole lot to it. But now what I can do is edit this template, and this will only apply to the email that's being sent out in my campaign. It won't change the original template. So in the top, I might just say monthly newsletter, September. Okay, and if I want to make that wider, I can change the sizing for that if I want, or if I just want to abbreviate September, that's fine too. Now at this point, I would go add all the content that I want that applies to September. And once I finish doing that, of course, I can click save, and then actions return. Now, if I wanted to save this template for future use for some reason, I can also choose save copy as, and it'll save this instance of that newsletter template in my templates library that I could use sometime in the future. Instead, I'm just going to click return. And now I have my first step is ready to go. Now, one of the things that I mentioned earlier that we have to make sure we do is we have to have an unsubscribe link. Let's go look at this email again. We have to have an unsubscribe link at the bottom or anywhere, as long as it appears somewhere. It's got to say unsubscribe. And we have to have our company address field here. But what if I was trying to be sneaky and I just decided to delete this altogether? I don't want to give my customers an opportunity to unsubscribe, so I'll just delete that whole row. Will I be able to get away with it? Well, let's find out. I'm going to click save. Oops. Go. And now I'll go to save and return. Oops, I think I clicked the wrong thing. Go. Turn. And the next thing we would do then is to activate this campaign. But before we do that, I want to show you one other thing that we can do. I can add additional email steps here. Let's say I wanted to have a second email. I'm going to choose this first email step and insert an action after it. And maybe I'll send out a second email. Maybe this will be my newsletter for October. One of the other things we can do is add specific action types. So I'm going to insert action after here. And maybe I want to have Act do something else for me. It can do several different action types. I can add all my customers to a different marketing campaign. I can add these customers to a different group in Act. I could update one of the fields on their contact record inside Act. I could send myself a notification whenever this email gets sent out, or I could remove these contacts from a different or from a marketing campaign. So maybe I just want to have an email sent to me at my Act address. Once that's done, it'll send me an email once that step gets reached. So we can see now my workflow has 3 different steps on it, 2 email steps and an action step. But also I didn't mention that these timings can be changed too. So maybe I want this first email to be instantly sent out, but that second email, I don't want it to go out until the next month. I can either change this to a specific date and time. So maybe I want this second email to go out on the 1st of October, assuming that is my October email or newsletter. Maybe I don't want it to go out on Saturday or Sunday, so let's make it October 3rd. I could change the day and the time however I want it to be. Then this third one, maybe I want this action, this notification to come to me not a day later. Maybe I want it to come out within 30 minutes. So I could change this drop down to minutes, make it 30 minutes, and then I'll receive an email 30 minutes after this email goes out. So these are all the kinds of things that you can do inside the workflow for a campaign. We can also add lists, an inclusion list or an exclusion list. Let's say that I sent it to my group, my customers group in Act, but maybe I wanted to add additional groups to this. I can add additional groups from my Act database here, or I can exclude groups from my Act database. Maybe if I had a do not disturb group, I could add this as my exclusion to this campaign. The list simulation option will give me a report on all the emails in this campaign to let me know if they are appropriate email addresses or if they have bounces attached to them or unsubscribes attached to them. This list simulation will let me know everybody on this campaign how they what their status is. And then this campaign list sync is pretty cool. If you turn this on, whenever I add new contacts to the group for this campaign, then those contacts will be added to the start of this campaign. It's a little tricky to do if you have specific dates set up, because if the date is passed, they won't get that email. So if you're going to turn on list sync, it's probably a good idea not to use specific dates, but instead to use time durations. Okay, so what I want to do now is let's activate this campaign and let's see the errors that appear. I'm going to click activate. And when I do that, Act does a check on all the email steps in here, and it's going to tell me the problems that I have. Okay, so one of the things we have to do is we have to change the default subject line of the email. So let's go look at that and what that means. I'm going to click the Edit Email button. And it's going to take me back into this first email that I edited earlier. Now, I realize I removed the unsubscribe link, but I didn't save it properly. So this unsubscribe link will probably still be down here at the bottom. So I'm going to delete that again because I want to show you that error too. All right, this time I'm going to click Save. So it'll remove that permanently. But what I need to change is the subject line of the email. If I go to my Actions menu and choose Properties, we'll see that there are 2 fields here. One is the name field. This is just what appears on the workflow. So maybe I'll just call this first email. And then the subject line says intro email. That's what would appear in their inbox when they're looking at their emails. We don't want it to say that. We want to say CloudWalker monthly newsletter, maybe September. However you want your subject line to appear. Now, there is a whole course that you can take on using attractive subject lines to get past spam filters and to get people to open their emails. So there's a whole strategy that you can use there. I think we might have some resources on act.com to help teach you how to write effective subject lines. But for now, I'm going to use this one, and I'm going to click Update. Now, if I go to my action, well, on the left, we can see here's my subject line in the parentheses. So that appears here. If I go to Actions Return, it'll take me back into the activation area where it does the check again, but now I'm getting errors because I removed my unsubscribe link and I removed my company address field. So Act is really smart. It won't let me get away with that. I have to go back into this email and re-add that unsubscribe link, which is pretty easy to do. If you accidentally delete it, I'll show you how you can add an unsubscribe link in again. Find a spot on your email where you want this unsubscribe to go. You can create a new row if you want. Maybe I'll just create one big row at the bottom. I misclicked. Try this again. Click and drag, slow down, and drop it here. Okay, so I have a row at the bottom. I'm just going to add a simple paragraph field. And I'll drop that there. On this paragraph field, I'm just going to delete all the text there. And then clicking inside that box, so I have a blinking cursor, I'm going to locate my merge tags. And this is where I can add my company address. So I need to find my business. Is it my business address field, I believe? Yes, so business address line 1. I don't think that's right. Never mind. I goofed that up. It's on the other area. Go to special links. We're going to add my unsubscribe link here. I'm going to hit return. And then under special links, maybe it wasn't special links. Maybe it was in the merge tags. Here it is, company. There we go. And then you can add any other tags here that you want to add to. There's a whole bunch of fields that you can add. Company address is the one that we need. It's at the very bottom. And if you want to add a company name, you can add that too. And that'll pull that from your account area in Act Marketing Automation. Okay, so we've added all those things in. Click Save. Super important to click Save. And then if I go to Actions Return, Act will re-examine this email for activation, and it'll tell me, okay, this email's good. You did it. You've created a subject line. You created an unsubscribe link, and we also have our company address. So if I fix this first email too, then I can go and I can activate this campaign, and it'll send out those emails according to the timings that I've set up. So the last thing I want to show you then is how do you view your campaign results? Maybe you sent out a campaign. Well, how do you see how well they did? Well, in the campaign results area, you can view different things, the activity of this campaign over time, even specific emails to whom the campaign was sent. And in Act, we can look at contact records to see the results of campaigns as well. So let's go take a look at that. And this will be the last thing that we look at today. I'm going to go back to my campaigns main page here and look at this product release campaign that I sent out a couple days ago. You can see the stats. It's currently active. It was activated on August 29th. I deactivated it and reactivated it. I actually created it back on August 19th. But let's click this campaign to open it. And then in the Actions menu, what I want to do is look at the campaign dashboard. Now at the top of the screen, it's going to give me some basic stats. How many emails were sent, how many were delivered. So I have 100% delivery rate. There were no rejected or bounced or anything like that. I had 11 different people open it. So that's what unique opens means. It tells me the percentage then is 39% were unique opens. I had 3 different unique clicks from people who opened my email. So I have a button in there that they could click, and 3 different people did that. Nobody bounced, nobody unsubscribed yet, and I had nobody complaining. So good. So far, so good. If I scroll down, I can see the name of this email. It was called products email, and I get all those stats in here again. Scroll down a little bit more and we get a little graph here. So this is over time. On the initial day when I sent out this campaign, it sent out 27 emails. On that same day at the bottom, I had 1 or 2 people click a link in the email. And then over time, as we progress, it shows you the date at the bottom. That was the 19th. Then on the 29th, I added additional email to my list using the email list sync. And so it sent out 1 additional email, and then I had 4 clicks, or 2 more people clicked it. So you can see how this graph will change over time. On the right, I can see the last 100 transactions. So this will include anything from people opening the email to clicking the email. If they open it multiple times, it'll show up multiple times in this list. And you can export this data to a spreadsheet if you want to share that with anybody else. One of the other things I want to look at is if I go back to my campaign, this is going to show me the campaign dashboard shows me all of the stats for the whole campaign. But let's say you had a campaign that had 5 or 6 different emails in it. What you can do is click on any of those emails and view the email statistics to just view those specific email statistics for that one email, and not on the campaign as a whole. And so then down below, you can choose one of the categories. Who opened it? How many clicks did you see? Were there any bounces? And so on. You can use this area to retrieve that data as well. And that's on an email by email basis. But we can also see interactions from the contacts point of view. So let me go into ACT, into the contacts area, and I'm going to look up one of my contacts. His name is Robert Barker. I'm going to look up his contact information. And on Robert Barker's contact detail view, we have a tab called Campaign Results. Maybe you've seen this tab there before and you had no idea what it was there for. Well, when I click on that, it's going to show me every campaign that Robert has received, and it's going to tell me how he interacted with it. So he clicked on 2 different links, and I can even view the last clicked URL that he clicked on in this campaign. It tells me the name of my campaign and the subject line of the email. And if I'm interacting with this and I just want to view that email again, I can click the view button, and it's going to open up a browser for me. It's going to show me the email that he interacted with. So it's a really good way if you're looking at a specific contact and you want to see how they've been interacting with your emails, your campaigns. You can find that here on the Campaign Results tab. Now, everything I've showed you today has been a part of the basic tier inside ACT Marketing Automation. And I'm not intending for this to be a big sales presentation, but I do want you to be aware that there are 3 higher tiers that have a lot more features that are available for different parts of ACT Marketing Automation. If you're interested in just learning about those, at the survey at the end of this session, there's a question that asks, would you like to learn more about the higher tiers of the additional features available inside ACT Marketing Automation? Just click yes, or whatever the answer is that says you want more information on that, and we can put together another training session on these additional tiers and some of the features that are there. And so now we're going to jump into Q&A. I think our team has been steadily pounding away at the questions and answers here, but Andy or Daniel, or are there any questions that we need to answer vocally, or are you guys just handling that in the Q&A panel? I take it that means you're answering them in the Q&A panel. That's fine. So we're going to hang around here for a little bit longer. I see there's a bunch of questions in there. That's great. I'm glad you guys are asking questions. Hopefully I haven't confused things further. So we'll stay around here for a little bit longer and we'll continue answering the questions, but I just wanted to thank you all for joining us for this month's ACT webinar series. Again, fill out the survey at the end and let us know what other information you'd like to learn about in ACT, and we'll put that together for you next month. So from Flagstaff, Arizona, have a great day.